Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is November 20th, 2025. It's a blessing to be with you here, as we have been for a very long time. John and Adele, Andrew and Jonathan, good to see all of you. Lydia and Tara, Boker Tov. It is broadcast 1430. That is 5.5 years plus 2 months, actually, of coming together every single day to see friends from all over the world to say good morning to each other. Emily, nice to see you, my friend. Linda and Penny, welcome, welcome, friends. Again, it's broadcast 1430. We know that because Penny makes sure we never forget. Karen and Carl, Linda and Debbie, Sunday, Boker Tov. Good to see all of you. Hi, Susie. Hi, Arlene. Chodesh Tov, my friend. It's good to see you. Almost Chodesh Tov. Doesn't it begin tonight? Anya and Dale, Rosa and Linda, David, Dave and Eileen, Corinne, good morning. Hi, Masisius. Masisius? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, but I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. Corinne and Camille, Adrian and Cynthia, Diane and Barbara, Nathalia, Boker Tov, friends. Good to see all of you. Let's take a breath. We're going to sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Stanley, my friend, good to see you. Hi, Amy. Okay. So good morning, everyone. It's good to see all of you. Again, it's broadcast 1430. We are talking about Parshat Toldot, but there's a lot happening in the world, and I'd be remiss to not ground our learning in a few different things. Let me frame it with a Parsha, but let me tell you in advance, I'm planning on speaking about some things that have happened over the last couple of days. Number one, the Parsha. Parshat Toldot shows us the birth of Jacob and Esav. While still in their mother's womb, they wrestled. God said, that's how it's going to be. And over the course of their childhood and lives, which the Torah usually does not show so much about, it turns out to be true. They scheme against each other. And before we jump to saying, yes, Esav schemed against Jacob, remember that when they were children and Esav comes in from the hunt, it seems exhausted and desperate for food. Jacob makes Esav sell the birthright of the eldest, which Esav is, for a bowl of beans. Before he feeds his brother, he makes his brother give up the claim to the birthright. And then when their father Isaac is dying, Jacob follows the instructions of his mother Rebekah to manipulate Isaac and to show up dressed like his brother. Now, what we also know about his brother is that he is deeply emotional and flies into a rage. And our rabbinic understanding, the midrashic understanding of who Esav comes to be, is dominion over the Jewish people. Esav is a stand-in for Edom, the kingdom of Edom, from the word Adom, red, but it's a stand-in for the rabbis of the Roman Empire. People who have power over Jewish self-determination or who threaten Jewish self-determination are often lumped into this category. So we should remember that we are not perfect and they are not perfect. But in the context of what has happened these last couple of days, one of them being at a City College event here in New York, what was supposed to be an interfaith panel was hijacked by a Muslim leader who not only screamed vitriol, violating the spirit of what was supposed to happen, but threatening the safety and well-being of Jewish students. After the event, this is from the statement that UJA released right afterwards. After this event, one CUNY student said, "We're used to it." Our response: when it comes to harassment and intimidation, no students, Jewish or otherwise, should ever be used to it. We call on CUNY officials to ensure incidents like this cannot and will not happen again. My mother is a graduate of CUNY, of CCNY, and this is a very real and present danger in our higher educational system here in New York. And on the streets of New York, important to also say that at Park East Synagogue, just last night, there was an event that was run by Nefesh B'Nefesh, a beautiful organization supporting Jews from around the world, hoping to explore and probably make Aliyah to move to Israel. The hundreds of people gathered outside shouting death to them was horrific. Again, a real and present danger. We can't have a conversation as Jews in this world if we ignore what is happening to Jews in this world. And in the spirit of Toldot, we also have to remember that we are not perfect either. And when we act in violation of our own values, we must call it out. And so the terrible attacks in the West Bank from a fringe group, but a fringe group of Jews living there, on Christian sites and on olive trees, need also to be called out. I'm not equating death to the Jews and Jews acting in complete disregard for Jewish values. But if we ever hope to escape from this cycle of physical recrimination, if we ever hope to just be able to literally sit under our fig tree and live, then we're going to need to be able to tell stories. As Rabbi Yitz Greenberg, one of the great giants of Jewish learning, has written, he wrote this in the year 2000 when he spoke to the entire North American Jewish community about the necessity post-Holocaust of Jews having power, because in order to live, which the world does not seem inclined to let us do, we must have power. So we must accumulate whatever power we need in order to live. Zionism is very much in the spirit of that. But he says an essential element of a Jewish acquisition and exercise of power is self-restraint. We need to make sure that when we have power, we use it based on ethics and values. I'm not equating the attacks on Jews in New York yesterday and the day before, but it is so important for us, friends. It is so important for us to remember that we make Aliyah, we move up as some of us move to Israel, we make Aliyah so that we can be even higher. We can act in a way that is more befitting us. One of the deep truths in the Torah, a very scary one that we read whenever we come to Deuteronomy, is the recognition that if we do not act in a worthy way, even after inheriting the promised land, the promise will not be maintained. That's what it says in Deuteronomy and Devarim. It's very scary. But the reason why it's there is because Moshe, with his very last breaths, is saying to us, be worthy. One of the ways that we show that we are worthy is by fighting for our own dignity. No one gets to do what they just did to us the last 2 days. And that is a verbal, political, social version of physical attacks that have also taken place on Jews. We do not go gently into any good night, to quote a beautiful poet. We don't. Rose, aliyah literally means oleh, to go up, and it is a phrase that describes moving to Israel for a Jew, going up, aliyah. What happened at City College and Baruch Hillel yesterday. What happened at Park East Synagogue yesterday. And what is being normalized in New York and elsewhere is unacceptable. We have always stood for vulnerable others. Jews show up. Well, we must show up for ourselves. That's part of the tangled nature of this week's Parsha. Rebecca knows because she went to talk to God about the pain she was feeling in pregnancy. Rebecca knows what's going to happen. Her two sons, twins, will be a warring dynamic. And she knows that the younger child, younger by a minute, because they're twins, the younger child will inherit the birthright. So she makes that happen. She, in a certain sense, acquires the power that is necessary. And Jacob and Esav suffer years of estrangement and rage and fear. Only next week's Parsha, where Jacob wrestles with a figure, maybe himself, maybe the avatar of his brother, before they are physically in the same space again after a very long time. Only with transformation is embrace possible. And we have to remember, we do not acquire power so that we can hurt anyone. That's not the Jewish way. All of those accusations are false, that any Jew, any aspect of Judaism, has any intention of hurting anyone else. That's not Judaism speaking. That's not the Jewish state speaking. That's not the Jewish soul speaking. Those accusations are spurious. That's never the intent of the Jewish community. Cannot be the language we ever use. We owe giants like Rabbi Yitz Greenberg and countless other dreamers who led us into this moment of finally having some modicum of self-determination. We're not in the cycle of Jacob and Esav anymore because we actually have the power we need to defend ourselves. We will do so here in New York in whatever ways we must. We will do so in our homeland in whatever ways we must. But we have to fight like Mentches when we have to fight. We will fight like Mentches. We will stand for the dignity of every Jewish student and every other person who's persecuted. That's who we've always been. That's who we're going to be. That includes calling ourselves out when we must. There's no equating the two, but our responsibility is toward both. To be Mentches when we must fight, and to call ourselves out when we're not. One of the things that Rabbi Greenberg said in a talk he gave in the year 2000 at the GA, the General Assembly, is that we have to be willing to point to our own imperfections, and we cannot see ourselves as bifurcated. That what happens in Israel there is happening to them, or what someone here is experiencing is happening to Jews here. We are all united as a community, as one family. And that also means, this is Rabbi Greenberg's language, that we can't say they did that. No. Just like on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, on the high holidays, when we take account of our sins, we say, Asham nu, Bagad nu, Gazal nu. We have done this. We, as a collective, take responsibility for our conduct, which also means we, as a collective, must take responsibility for our defense. Again, they're not the same. But the same intention here, to be strong enough to defend ourselves whenever necessary, comes along with the responsibility of doing it like Mentches. I'm very proud of the language that UJA has used in response to anti-Semitism when it rears its ugly head in New York. We are not going to be quiet. It is going to end, and we will end it with our partners, with our political allies, with all of the influence we have. We will bring it to bear in defense of Jewish students, Jewish children, Jewish adults, Jewish communities. And With that same passion, we will hold ourselves to account so that we always show up, embodying the best of Jewish values, holding ourselves accountable for the ethical use of the power we wish we didn't need. We do need it. Jacob needed to transform. He needed to wrestle. We'll talk about that next week. He walked away with a limp, but he walked forward into the future. That is who we are. The beginnings of our story are right here. They're right here in Parshat Toldot. I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's not pleasant reading, friends. This is not pleasant reading. It is a family with so much dysfunction. And it's our family. We've gotten this far. What next? Yes, Linda, as you're writing, friends. Linda, you're writing. The eternal heartbreak is that it is necessary. Yes. Yes. But I know, because you and I have spent so much time learning together, how important it is for us to say, yes, life is hard. Life is hard, but look how beautiful life is too. Look at the learning we get to do. Look at the building of our world we get to do. Look at the loving we get to do. Look at who we want to be, who we mean to be, how we sing, how we care for each other, how we show up, how through the worst 2 years of Jewish history since the Shoah, we kept our digital food pantries opening. We kept taking care of survivors of domestic violence. We kept fighting for peace. We kept bringing coexistence together. We kept talking about addiction and mental health. We talked about love. We know how to be Mentches even when under fire. We do. We have to make sure that we always do, and we hold ourselves accountable when we don't. And none of that is the same as the necessity of the fight. It's true. They're both true. And what a gift it is to have a holistic Jewish identity, friends. A holistic Jewish identity. We must fight sometimes. David, I'll tell you how we find joy with so much anti-Semitism. Because you and I know each other for so long, and we keep learning together, and you join this broadcast community when you're on a cruise and when you're home. And because Carl, who joined this community when it just began, his heart aches because of horrible things happening in the world. Good people are coming together to dream big. And Minna is in conversation with Marcia about all the glorious talks at the General Assembly of the Jewish Federations of North America. And Rosa, who's in Malta, is proud to be a Zionist as part of the Jewish community, though she herself is not Jewish. Of course you are. You're my sister. And Linda, who helps run Jewish education programs in Florida, is here. And Lydia, who's called our community just now 1,430 days of caring right here. And John, who's on Instagram, my beloved friend who I knew when he was 6, is now leading Jewish students into places of Jewish pride, defending them on campus and remembering them to feel joy. How do you feel joy? How can you not? Look at the gift of Torah in our lives. As Ashley said it so perfectly just now, good people coming together to make things better. It doesn't get better than that. How could it be better than that? What a gift it is to be with you. What a gift it is to be a Jew. What a gift it is to be part of this expansive family that this broadcast represents. What a gift it is to learn from our past to make good decisions in the future. Yes, we might always have to fight. We got good at it. I wish we didn't have to get good at it. I don't want to fight. But when I need to, I will. For my children and for yours. Amy just wrote she is dedicating an ambulance to Israel this weekend. How could it be more beautiful? Look at the good we do. Thank you for doing that, Amy, for saving lives. So let's take a breath, send our hearts to the east, and sing with pride. Not only reactivity, but pride. Sing with pride. Kol balevav penima nefesh Yehudi Homiya Ulefate Mizrach Kadima Ayin Letzion Sophia Od lo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. עם ישראל חי. See you tomorrow, my friends.